Good afternoon to all our listeners and viewers of the NDC Heartbeat podcast. We're happy to have all of you on this afternoon, those who are on radio via WeFM, Vibes FM, Spice Capital Radio, Talk Grenada, those who are on the NDC Facebook platform, and indeed those who are on YouTube. Yes, we're also on YouTube. Let me say welcome to another beautiful Sunday afternoon in Grenada, and we will have with us today the Senator, the Honorable Claudette Joseph, who is the Attorney General, and she's also the Minister responsible for Legal Affairs, Labor, and Consumer Affairs. Senator Joseph, welcome to the set, and we're going to be talking today about not just your constituency, but we want to talk a little bit about consumer affairs, minimum wage, consumer affairs, of course, as I indicated, legal affairs, and other matters relating to your ministry. So welcome to the Heartbeat once again, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Terry. Good afternoon to you, and it's good to see you. I think this is the first time I'm on for the year.
It looks so.
And yes, so good afternoon, and good afternoon to all of the listeners of our weekly Heartbeat program. Whether you are viewing and listening on Facebook, on YouTube, and on VFM and Vibes FM, and any other platform that you might be hearing the NDC Heartbeat program coming to you, it's always great to be on the program. And since it's the first time I'm on for the year, I take this opportunity to wish all of you listeners and viewers and supporters and all of Grenada a very happy 2024.
Thank you very much indeed. Well, let's start off first of all with your constituency.
Yes.
And to mention that you were not one of the persons who changed portfolio. So congratulations.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
So let's start off with your constituency, the town of St. George. How are things going there, and what sort of activities have you been undertaking over the past few months?
I think things are going quite well in the constituency of the town of St. George. And thank you for asking, Terry. Well, since it's the first time that I've been on for the program, I will just say that during the last festive season we had, last Christmas, we were able to distribute over 100 food hampers. I think it was around 120 food hampers to persons resident in the town of St. George. And we were able to extend that a little bit. There were a few people who were really deserving of some Christmas cheer who are not from the constituency of the town of St. George. And we were able to also share some of the hampers with them. And we, for the first time, we had a Christmas dinner for the senior citizens of the constituency. And that was well received and well enjoyed by all of us who participated, not just the senior citizens. It was really an enjoyable afternoon, and I would like particularly to thank all of the hardworking residents and members of the constituency who made that happen, including the Conwizard Steel Orchestra, who provided some lovely entertainment with one of their members volunteering to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a first, and we hope to make it an annual activity. And of course, we had the children's party, Christmas party. This year, we were able to do 3 Christmas parties in the constituency, all of which were quite thoroughly enjoyed by the little ones who attended, and of course, the little child in all of us. I had quite some fun in those activities. And also, by way of community enhancement and so it was one of the things the team and I afternoon, and I would like particularly to thank and toilet, and that tends to slow down the actual delivery of the projects once they are approved. So I would like to say to the constituents of the town of St. George that you should see some improvement in terms of how quickly your work is done once your project is approved. Um, and while we focus on people, trying to get more people assistance with all of the programs that the government offers, we are also looking at enhancing the infrastructure of the town and the appearance of the town and the feel of the town. So we have launched this program. Well, it's an initiative called Art in the City. And if you notice, Terry, we are going to engage the creatives in the constituency. And we started with a very impressive mural that I am proud to say. Some people say to me sometimes I am too shy to take credit. So in this one, I will take the credit and say that it was really uh, a thought of mine that we have that I shared with the team, and we are able now to bring it to fruition. So if you exit the tunnel, as you exit the tunnel, you will see a very impressive mural, hand painted artwork by a resident of very talented resident of the town, Mr. Louis Salam. And that mural spans that entire length of wall, quite a few feet, as you exit the tunnel, and it literally tells the story of Grenada from inception to our 50th. That was done as we commemorate our 50th anniversary. And so it's quite a sight, and it's attracted quite some attention over the independence celebration. And I would like to congratulate Louis on a job well done. We are going to do some similar projects around the town. Um, and that brings me to the efforts that we made to enhance the appearance of the town during the independence celebrations. We focused on not just on beautification, but on restoring a few historic and heritage sites that are unique to the town of St. George. So we repaired the railing at Sanssouci that leads to the official residence of the Prime Minister, Mount Royal, and that was in a derelict state for quite some years, for many, many years. The railing was fallen, literally lying on the ground in tatters. And we were able to enlist the help of a small contractor from the constituency, and in short order, we had that railing restored, and so many people reached out to express their gratitude that this was done. And similarly, Long Wall at the end of Lucas Street. As far as I know myself, Terry, I attended the St. Louis RC Girls School and then the St. Joseph's Convent, and then I went back to teach at the St. Joseph's Convent. So I lived all my life in town and traversed that area so many times, too many occasions to count, as a child. And that wall, from as far as I can recall, always needed repair. It was always in a state of disrepair with the lats, the original lats missing and holes in place. And as a child, actually, it was quite scary walking on that side of the road, lest you fall through one of the holes. So it was one of the things the team and I, we agreed must be done before February 7th so that we have that long wall restored by Independence Day. Again, with assistance from the Ministry of Infrastructure and members of the community again, who did the painting and the restoration and so. And we are looking to reach out very shortly to those business entities who have advertisement boards erected on the wall on the side facing Scott Street and Chinley Street. We are going to reach out to you, the business community, to help us maintain the wall, because it will have to be maintained and repaired from time to time, painted occasionally. So we look forward to your favorable response, because as far as our research shows, the business houses are not necessarily paying to have their ads up. So I'm sure they will all be very happy to make a very small contribution so that we might be able to maintain that wall. And we also started the process of covering some of the deep and dangerous drains around the town. We did some in the heart of the town of St. George, Granby Street, and a few of the other streets. And markably, we did one, that's the one that most people are noticing, Upper Lucas Street. So we are going to complete that, and we are going to do the other streets around the town so that pedestrians can walk more comfortably as the issues with traffic and traffic congestion continue to affect us as we have more vehicles in the town and less parking spaces. So we
Mhm.
are asking, as we repair the sidewalks and as we cover the drains to turn them into sidewalks, that the
Mhm.
motorists are considerate of the pedestrians and leave the sidewalks for the pedestrians to
Right.
walk.
Mhm.
And so we have many other small projects that will enhance the town. We have a nice little project. I wouldn't let the cat out of the bag too much yet.
Mhm.
With the Green Bridge, the old Green
Uh-huh.
Bridge,
Yep.
and I would like here to commend all of the communities of the town of St. George, River Road, Dabo, Mount Rush, um, H.A. Blaze Street, Cemetery Hill, all the areas, Tantine, where the communities came out and participated fully in the beautification of their different villages and communities as we um, as we marched towards our 50th anniversary.
Mhm.
River Road was really outstanding in terms of how they transformed the area. The artwork was done by a resident
Mhm.
of the area, very simple, unassuming guy that, well, I didn't know he
Yeah.
had those talents. And the
Mhm.
same is true for the other areas where the people did some wonderful artwork and general beautification. I was particularly impressed with the young children who came out, young children, 8, 9, 10 teenagers who came out and participated fully in beautifying their communities. And it is an effort that we will continue with, and that we encourage all persons to join in. We have some stuff to do, some more stuff to do up Davo and and Mount Rush and so. So we look forward to continuing to build on that spirit
Mhm.
of volunteerism. And
Right.
again, I would like to thank all. I don't want to call names because I may leave out someone.
Leave out somebody.
So, yeah. So, but the people who really worked hard week after week after week, um, fixing up the Melville Street area, the Four Roads area, H.A. Blaze Street, River Road, Dabo. You know who you are, Mount Rush. The ones who play the role of chef to ensure that refreshments were prepared for the community. It was really an enjoyable period that we intend to carry on with. So I
Great.
am really excited. I'm really excited with some of what we are doing in the town of St. George. We're going to
Mhm.
be doing again more work with the community groups and initiatives that are already established, and
Right.
looking to form a few more so that we can get the work done in the constituency in a more organized way and tap into available resources, because there are available external resources,
Mhm.
but the community has to be properly organized in order to access those resources. So I'm
Great.
going to be working with the different groups um, to get the work done in the constituency.
Fantastic. Well, of
Yeah.
course, the your constituency was the venue for several large
Oh
50th
yeah.
anniversary independence activities. Of course, you had Fork in the Tongue and Pan in the Tongue, and then, of course, the grand finale on the 7th of February. What are your thoughts? How did these events go? And what sort of additional contributions you made towards these activities?
Thank you very much for that question, Terry. And first of all, let me thank my colleagues in the government of Grenada and the National Organizing Committee for our 50th anniversary celebrations on a fantastic job. I think they the reviews were unanimous in that we could not have done better. We really set the bar. In fact, as one article in a Trinidad newspaper said that Grenada really set the bar in how to celebrate a milestone for the nation. And so I would really like to thank the chairman of the organizing committee, Dr. Wendy Crawford, the lead producer of the events, Mr. Ricardo Keys Douglas. He's really, really a gem. And we are really lucky and pleased to have someone like Mr. Keys Douglas living amongst us. And hopefully, he will find some way to mentor some young people and to train them so that we can carry on with the high and impeccable standards that he has set.
Mm-hmm.
I am pleased, and it was natural that the hub of the independence celebrations should be not just the town of St. George, but the Carenage in particular. Because Terry, if you're old enough, and I'm just barely old enough to remember that that all of the action leading up to our independence really took place on the Carenage and
Yep.
surrounding areas. All
Lot
of
of
the
history.
celebrations, and so everything was centered around the Carenage. The celebration, the protests, the parts of it that we don't want to recall, and including the hoisting of the flag in the dark on Fort George. All of it
Mm.
was centered around the area. So it was really fitting to have the celebrations in the constituency. And we actually, one of the things we did as a constituency is to embark on lighting the carnage, the white lights that you see above the colored lights.
Mm-hmm.
That that initiative was not part of the organizing committee. That actually was a constituency initiative led by myself with the support of the business community. And we installed, just before the colored lights were installed, we installed 28 solar lights right around the carronade so that when eventually the colored lights come down, the carronade will always be well lit and and more aesthetically pleasing. We have some more work to do in the area, but we thought we would start by brightening up the carnage a bit with the installation of those solar lights. And as a constituency as well, we assisted with decorating the area with the buntings, and so that was done by the constituency, not the NOC. So it was really a collaborative effort, and we are pleased that we were able to collaborate with the NOC to make sure all of
Mm-hmm.
the activities of the town of St. George
Mm-hmm.
um, come off as they did. And on the 7th, it was simply spectacular.
Yeah.
I mean,
Absolutely.
and we are grateful for all the participants who made it possible for us to have such a proud moment as a nation, from the children, over 1,000 of them participating.
Right. So, well, that's
Yes.
great that the town was able to, host all of these mega events to celebrate our 50th anniversary of independence. And what is
Hmm.
striking, though, with the number of small projects that you have undertaken in the constituency, it speaks to what was done, or in fact, what was not done over the last 23 years.
Yeah.
That
In
is
fact,
that is striking. That is
in
striking.
fact, I get that comment all the time. People ask me, well, what was the other guy doing all this time? And I get this comment, but I know the people of the town of St. George. They are quite appreciative of the efforts. We appreciate that we will not be able to please everyone, and we will not get everything that we plan to get done in one term or in a short space of time. And so we look forward to the people of the town of St. George giving us many opportunities to really transform the town and to bring it to the glory and splendor that we know the town of St. George can be. Because as
Mhm,
we do the small things, the small but impactful projects to enhance the town,
mhm.
we are acutely aware that there are some major initiatives that we must undertake in order to really restore and rejuvenate our town in the way that I always speak about. We have the major issues, we have York House, we have the public library, which is a matter that's already being addressed. We have the former York House, we have the Melville Street area with the old historic buildings, the barracks and so. So there's a lot to be done for the infrastructure and the aesthetics of the town. We have the market square, which still leaves a lot to be desired. So that's
Yeah.
something we have to work together as a team to improve and address the issues that attend at the market square. But I think we have shown already sufficiently that we are the team that will do right by the town of St. George. And I know I am being told already that I am the person. The people are now convinced that I am the person who will be best able to represent their interests in the parliament and otherwise. As far as I'm concerned, and as far as the people say, you're already doing it.
Well, this is it. Yeah, I mean, I watched around the town and observed quite a lot of improvements. But I mean, what is striking is that there's just so much more to be done, and but
Yes.
it's bit at a time, bit at a time.
A
Rome
bit
was
at
not
a
built.
time, it's a lot. The town was neglected for decades, eh?
Yeah,
I mean, it was neglected for decades, and so it will take quite some effort to bring it to a standard that we can all enjoy and be proud of.
yeah,
And I'm up to the task, and my heart and soul is rooted in the town, as is my navel string.
yeah.
So, so
That's
I'm
great.
really passionate about improving, not just the town and its appearance, but the lives of the people in the constituency.
Very important indeed. Well, let us move forward now to minimum wage. In other words,
Yes.
what is the minimum wage order? When did the order come into effect? Who is affected? And how does employees, or what can employees do in the event that the employer is not complying with the order of the minimum wage? So let's talk about minimum wage for the time being.
Okay, thank you, Terry. And I think it is the revamping of the minimum wages and bringing the new minimum wages into being is one of a proud is a proud achievement of mine in particular and of the government. Because if you recall, Terry, it was something that we actually campaigned on, something that was mentioned in our manifesto that we will address. And so, upon being given the responsibility for labor, which under which the minimum wages fall, I immediately set about to meeting this really huge gap that had occurred because minimum wages were not adjusted since 2011. And although the law says that minimum wages should be reviewed every 3 years, they were
Mhm.
not reviewed since 2011. And incidentally, my immediate predecessor, the immediate past Minister for Labor, was also the, is also, still is the MP for
Mhm.
the town of St. George and the
Mhm.
person with whom I directly compete. So I trust that the people, not just the people of Grenada, but in particular the people of the town of St. George, are paying close attention to
Mhm.
who really champion the interests of the small people, because the minimum wages cover really the lower paying workers in the country. So, to answer your question, Terry, in particular, about what the minimum wages is all about, the minimum wage is the amount of salary and wages below which an employer cannot legally pay the employee. So the lowest, it sets the lowest. It said this is the least you
Mhm.
can pay an employee, not the most. What we notice with the implementation is that some employers are just paying their workers the minimum. But if you have a worker who has years of experience, who is competent, who has specific qualification and training for the particular job, that worker should not be receiving the minimum wage. The minimum wage is more for the inexperienced entry level worker. That's the lowest at which you can pay workers. And I want to get that clear. Some
Mhm.
employers seem to think that, well, I'm just paying the minimum wage and I'm paying everybody the minimum wage. That is not fair and just. And
Mhm.
so the employer should be guided that the minimum wage is the basic and the lowest which you can
Right.
pay in the given category. The
Mhm.
minimum wages order came into effect, the new minimum wages came into effect on 1st January 2024. And I would like to point out here, Terry, and commend there are some employers who actually started paying the minimum wages from December. So they did it a whole month in advance. They implemented
Mhm.
a month in advance, which is really commendable.
That's great.
But everyone should have gotten those persons who were being paid below the minimum wage, which generally works out to about 1,200. They should now have received an adjustment in their wages to meet the new minimum wages.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
All right. So,
And who are affected? I think you asked
yeah,
me who are affected
yeah,
as well. So
that's
there are
right.
various categories of workers who are affected by the new minimum wages. And as I said, the new minimum wages or minimum wages in general tend to capture lower paying employees and those who may not be unionized. Generally, they're not unionized because
Mhm.
the workers who are unionized, they have the unions who would normally negotiate wages, salaries, and fringe benefits for them. But some workers are not unionized. So we have about 15 categories of workers who will be beneficiaries of the new minimum wages. And I'm going to just mention them quickly. We have industrial workers, those people in garment factories and so,
Right.
clerical workers, administrative assistants, cashiers, shop assistants, receptionists. And I would like to use this platform to clarify that gas station workers fall below this category.
Oh.
They are shop assistants. What as the labor commissioner would put it, once you're selling something, you're a shop assistant, right?
Yes.
Once
So
you're
yeah.
assisting, once you do, yeah. So receptionists, these people, gas station workers, and so they are covered by the minimum wages as clerical, administrative assistants, cashiers, receptionists, shop assistants. Then we have security guards, and I'll just give you a little story. Um, during the Christmas season, I think it was one of our events. A security guard said to me, Minister, when you're done, I was talking to somebody and said, I would like to have a little word with you, please. And usually, Terry, you were in politics before. When somebody say, I want to have a little word with you, usually,
Expect anything. Expect anything.
yeah, expect anything. And but usually, they have a problem that they would like you to help them to solve. That is normally
Yeah.
what it is,
Yeah.
right?
Of
Some
course.
issue, something that they think that you are in a
Absolutely.
position to help them with. But this
Absolutely.
particular guy, he said to me when I went, he said to me, I just wanted to tell you thanks for addressing the issue of the minimum wages and for improving the wages for security guards. And Terry, I get that all the time. I
Wow.
get it all the time from people just stopping me to say, thanks for addressing the minimum wages and for improving the minimum wages. They are now able to have a better life. And that includes domestic workers, sanitation workers. They were never covered in the minimum wages order before.
Right.
Early childhood workers, um, caregivers for the elderly, including those working in homes for the aged. One of these categories were not covered before. I can't remember which one. I think is the early childhood workers. That's a new
Mm,
category. Workers in bakeries, agricultural workers, construction workers, and in the construction sector, the helpers and so were not covered previously. We have included them.
mhm,
Transportation workers, that's like bus drivers and bus conductors and truck
mhm,
drivers and so. Utility helpers and utility workers, media workers, that's also a new category that was not covered before. Call center workers, also a new category not
mm.
covered before, and workers in the hospitality sector. So those would be
Oh,
restaurant and hotel workers and so. So these are the people who are covered under the minimum wages order. Outside of that, you generally have people who are workers are generally unionized.
mm.
And I
Oh,
think you also asked me
yeah.
whether
If
a worker can be paid less than minimum
Yeah,
wage.
if employers refuse or neglect to meet this criteria, what are some of the, let's say, conditions that workers can implement?
So the first step is for the worker to alert the Ministry of Labor. So reach out to the Ministry of Labor, and I will get a number before we wrap up. And so you can reach out to the Ministry of Labor and speak to one of the labor officers. Actually, the Ministry of Labor, the number is 440 2532.
All right.
440 2532, and ask to speak to one of the labor officers. Or you can send in an email to labor@labor.gov.gd with your concern, with your query, if you think you are not being paid the correct minimum wage. And the law, I will here say to employers, the law, speaking off the top of my head, I think it's section 54 imposes some stringent penalties to employers who do not comply with the minimum wages order. And these penalties are in the form of fines. So it will be far cheaper, employers, for you to pay the required minimum wage, because on your first offense, the fine, I believe, is up to 5,000, and then it goes up after that.
Mm,
And so you would be better advised, or well advised, to comply with the order. It would be far cheaper in the long run.
absolutely. Well, let us move on because time is quickly catching up with us. We only have another
Okay.
25 minutes before that hour is up. Um, let us go to consumer affairs. You launched recently a new division. Tell us about that
No, it's
division.
not. It's not launch. It's not launched yet.
Oh, it's not yet launched.
It's
Okay, you're
coming.
planning.
It's
You're
coming.
planning to launch. Oh, well, I'm always ahead of the game, so I thought it was launched,
Yes,
but
Terry.
it
Yes.
is it is to be launched. What
Yes, Terry.
can
So
we expect from this new division?
right. So a lot of people, actually, including some lawyers, I would say, because I heard one lawyer make reference to the fact that we don't have any provision, any laws for consumers to protect consumers. So it points to the fact that although we have had since 2018 a Consumer Protection Act, we have a Consumer Protection Act that has been enforced since 2018. But before now, government, our predecessor, did nothing really to implement the provisions of that act and to set up a proper Office of Consumer Affairs that will treat with matters pertaining to consumer rights and consumer issues and consumer complaints. We have decided to bring the provisions of the Consumer Protection Act to life by setting up a division of consumer affairs.
Mm-hmm.
And that office will be located in the new NIS complex in the unit next to Power 91, Power 95,
Oh,
Power
okay.
95 FM. That's where
Yes.
Miss Neptune and so, right, that radio
That's it there.
station. So
All
we
right.
will be right beside them, and that's upstairs there in the new NIS complex. And the Division of Consumer Affairs will be fully staffed and launched. The launch will take place. We have scheduled the 15th of March to launch the new Division of Consumer Affairs.
Mm-hmm.
And this is something we are very excited about so that we will be better able to serve the public as a government, the public who may have issues with purchases and all the matters pertaining to consumer affairs in relation to goods and services that people may purchase and may have issues relating to those. Unfair pricing, all of these matters. We will be beefing up our inspectorate, so we will have more persons out there in the communities doing the requisite inspections, right, for compliance.
Price control officers also fall under this
The
particular.
price control officers, yes, they ordinarily fall under the consumer affairs division, but we will be expanding the services provided to beyond just price control, because truly the consumer affairs division that I inherited as the minister responsible for consumer affairs were really three people, three price control officers. We now have approval to fill out the office with a staff complement of over 20. So we will be fully operational. There has never been appointed a director of consumer affairs, which the law requires. We have a situation where the law was flouted with impunity, quite frankly, by the last administration. So, and that's not only consumer affairs law generally. So, so the office will be hiring a director of consumer affairs and all the supporting staff. And one of the things we will be doing, Terry, in the Office of Consumer Affairs, as we are under one ministry with labor, we will be having a labor officer in that same location, so that persons who have issues with complaints that they would want to lodge with the Ministry of Labor, unfair dismissal, whatever, lack of payment for work done, that kind of thing. The usual complaints that you will come to the Ministry of Labor in Tantine with, there will be an office right in town there, so that the Ministry of Labor might be more accessible to the general public. So instead of having to take two buses or to walk, you come, there'll be a front-facing office inside that same space with a labor officer who will be able to receive persons who may have issues pertaining to the labor function of the ministry. So we are really excited about the consumer affairs division. It will be our first in Grenada. And so again, another first, another accomplishment of the government, of which we will be very happy and proud.
Fantastic, fantastic indeed. I mean, the general public is of the feeling, based on all the accomplishments of government over the past year and a half, it feels as though they've been there for 23 years.
Well, I think I think the public is now realizing an opportunity, probably an opportunity lost in keeping the NDC out of office for so long. But we know they wouldn't make that mistake again.
Well, let's hope not. No, let's
But I
go.
mean, all joke aside, Terry. I mean,
No,
we are we are
let
trying
us.
our best. We mean right by the people of Grenada. We want to do right for Grenada. We want to do what is good. We want to do what will advance our country, make it more prosperous, make life in Grenada more enjoyable and bearable for everyone who live in Grenada. And so the programs and policies that we adopt are all geared towards that goal. We really want to transform Grenada, and more importantly, we want to leave a better Grenada than we inherited. So we, as government, as a team, we will continue to work together
Mhm.
to ensure that we improve on what we inherited, that we build on the foundation that was laid by those who went before us, so that when we demit, those who come after us will have an even better foundation on which to build. We do not have to be a third world country forever. And so we really want to improve the lives of our people. And whatever we do, as human beings, we are fallible human beings. We will not always get it right. We will not be able to please everybody. Our decisions will not find favor with everyone. But what we want the people of Grenada to know is that whatever we do in good faith and in the interest, and we do it because we think it is in the best interest of our people. So we would like the continued support, prayers, and encouragement of the people, and of course, criticism, because when you're criticized, you take a second look, and sometimes you find that there is merit in what some of the critics will have to say. So, really and truly, we would like to make the best of this opportunity given to us by the people of Grenada. And that's why we are showing that when we say we're going to do something, we endeavor to do it. We try to get it done. We say we're
Mhm.
going to pay pension, we get it done. We say we're going to, we even doing stuff that we didn't say we're going to do, like we paying the doc salaries, but we thought it was the right thing
Mhm.
to do.
Yeah,
So whatever we say we are going to do, we will endeavor to get it done. All
but
of the things. So this is another one.
that
The
does not.
minimum wages, the
Yeah,
consumer affairs. These are things we said we were going to do.
but it must also be noted that notwithstanding these things, there are one or two individuals who would like to see that this train of movement slows down, and there are allegations of just one or two individuals who are doing things to create upsets, because we still have delayed payments by some officers, and the Ministry of Finance is, confirming that they can only pay when certain documentation gets to their desk. So the allegations of some individuals slowing the process down, causing discomforts to individuals with respect to payment of wages and salaries, is something that the government needs to look into seriously to eliminate that problem as quickly as possible. What are your
Yeah,
thoughts on
yes, Terry. Well, we've heard those claims, and what we can say from government end is that we have consistently managed the affairs of the country and pursued programs and policies that ensures that right now we are in a very healthy economic and financial position. So there isn't an issue with cash flow or ability to pay. That's not the issue. So as the policymakers, we know that we have put ourselves in a position where people who provide services for the government can be paid in a
it?
timely and efficient manner, because there's the means to do so.
Hmm.
Uh, we have also, as a government, been very, very good to employees. And I say so without fear of contradiction as the Minister for Labor. We have done right by the employees of the government. We have restored pension. We are in the final stages of working out um, the matters that will see pension reform.
Mhm.
We are, because everybody agree that we need pension reform. So
Yeah.
we are in the final stages of treating with that issue. We are in the process of regularizing workers who have been in limbo for many, many years, some of them over 20 years, working for government with no instrument of appointment, no status, no security of tenure, being treated as independent contractors when they are doing the same work side by side with their co-workers who are confirmed and permanent. And all of the public workers, all of the workers employed in the government service are aware that, true to our word, we are very advanced with the whole regularization process. The workers' representatives, the unions that represent public workers, they appeared at press conferences and signing ceremonies and confessed that these were the best negotiations they've had in a long time, and the benefits, the increases and fringe benefits offered by this government for the current period were the best and most favorable that they've had for their workers in a very long time,
Mhm.
right? So, as government, we have also taken active steps to enhance the physical working environment for our people. The entire ministerial complex was not just given an exterior facelift, but it
Mhm.
was all the entire air conditioned system in the whole building was replaced,
Mhm.
and the carpeting in all the floors was ripped up, and tiles done. Some of them got a facelift paint job and all of that. In the Ministry of Finance, the whole financial complex is being emptied, and they're going to be temporarily housed other places, the different divisions at other places, so that we might um, do repair, much needed repair and improvement work in the financial complex to make it
Mhm.
safer and more comfortable for workers.
Mhm.
We are in the at final stages of retrofitting a whole space for the Office of the Attorney General and Ministry of Legal Affairs.
Mhm.
So, as a government, we have been very employee friendly. I don't think anybody could deny that. Um, Not to mention the nurses and doctors who we have given an honorarium as we treat with issues of regularization. We have regularized hundreds of teachers.
Mhm.
So things that many public officers didn't even think would come to reality, would come to fruition.
Mhm.
These things have now happened and
Yep.
are happening. So as we have done right and just by the employees of the state, we expect the same. We expect greater productivity. We expect workers to be more diligent and attentive to the tasks that they must perform. Um, we expect that when, as policymakers, we do our part, the employees also do their part. Because if you're familiar with the public service, Terry, it's a lot of bureaucracy
Mhm.
and processes and rules with which the officers must comply. And we are not operating a government as our predecessors that is riddled with victimization and where loyalties must be pledged. If you don't believe me, read Richard Duncan's book, Walk in the Straight and Narrow. You must pledge the loyalty, right? This is not how we are operating. We want to operate in a more professional and business-like manner, expecting when we as employer do our part, the employees do their part.
Right.
So
Mhm.
I heard president of the trade union movement. Not heard. Somebody sent me a post that the president of the trade union movement put on his Facebook page, um, complaining about late payment. Well, there was a post, and I think he was also on MTV. Yeah, I think I saw a clip on
Mhm.
MTV as well. So what I would like to say to the leadership of the trade union movement is that, and it's a matter that came up. It's a matter that came up during the minimum wages consultation. The question of productivity and giving a fair day's work for a fair day's pay, because the fact is that we do not have an issue of resources or finances with which to meet government's monthly commitment. We do not have an issue of resources or finances with which to implement the budgetary measures. So we are depending on and we are expecting the functionaries, the officers, to do their jobs and to do so in a timely and diligent manner so that what has to be done will be done, and people are not prejudiced or people are not disadvantaged by because somebody didn't do what they had.
Mhm. Right.
Um, I mean, that's all I can say. And
Well,
I just
no,
encourage
no, that's fine.
the leadership of the unions. I encourage the leadership of the unions to impress on their members to be diligent and timely in what they have to do, and we wouldn't have these issues, we wouldn't have these complaints.
Great. Well, we're going to take a short break because I want to ask you, under the banner of legal affairs, to address the issue about geographical indications registration. So when we
Oh,
come
okay.
back, yeah,
All
give
right.
us your thoughts on that, know what it's all about. So we'll take a short break and get back to you very shortly. Back in a moment.
The RKD Theatre and Grenada Cooperative Bank present Journey to Gold, written and directed by Ricardo Keynes Douglas. Journey to Gold brings to life 50 years of Grenadian politics through song, dance, and theatre. Join us at the Grenada Trade Centre on Saturday, March 2nd at 8 p.m. and Sunday, March 3rd at 7 p.m. Advance tickets are $50 with limited seating, so get them now at Grenadian Optical, St. George's, and Spiceland Mall, Gittins Pharmacy Grand Dance, and online at gotofet.com. See you on March 2nd and 3rd for Journey to Gold. Associate sponsor Judah Sound. This ad compliments Hubbard's.
Welcome back to the NDC Heartbeat podcast. We're happy to have all of you on this afternoon. Those who are on radio via WeFM, Vibes FM, Spice Capital Radio, Talk Grenada, and indeed those who are on the NDC Facebook platform, and of course those who are on YouTube. So remember, we are on YouTube, so check us out there, YouTube. So welcome back, Senator Joseph. And before we went on the break, I asked you about the Geographical Indication Registration. What is this and how does it apply to Grenada?
Yes, Terry, before I tell you what geographical indications are, I I will say that the reason why this is relevant to our discussion is that as you know and as the nation knows, this government, our government, has been placing a lot of emphasis on the creative economy. And we are trying to build out and have our nationals, have our people take advantage of the vast opportunities and resources that abound in the creative sector. Globally, the creative sector is what, a 2 or 3 trillion dollar industry. And we have not been given due credit and attention to our creatives. So this issue of geographical indications ties in with the creative industry because it falls in the realm of intellectual property. And intellectual property falls under the Office of Corporate Affairs and Intellectual Property, which falls under the Ministry of Legal Affairs. And although I am not the Minister for Creative Affairs, intellectual property falls under my ministerial portfolio, hence the discussion on geographical indications. So, in keeping again with our thrust to focus on the creative economy and tap into the opportunities that abound there, one of the things we are doing is concentrating on getting some geographical indications registered and recognized for Grenada. And what are geographical indication? Geographical indication is basically a label or a sign used on products, or a mark, a trademark used on products that have specific geographical origin, and the products possess specific qualities or a reputation due to the origin of the product. Because of the origin, the product is linked to a particular geographical location. So, for example, champagne is connected with France. When you hear champagne, you think France. That's a geographical indication. When you hear Blue Mountain coffee, you think Jamaica. That's a geographical indication. When you hear like Cuban cigars, you think Cuba. So there are some natural products that we have in Grenada here, particularly our nutmeg, the unique and superior strain of nutmeg that we have. Our cocoa, again, unique and superior, and our rum, which is also unique. So what we have been doing as a ministry is working with the relevant stakeholders, the Grenada Cooperative Nutmeg Association, the Grenada Cocoa Association, and the rum distilleries, as well as with the tremendous support offered by the World Intellectual Property Organization. That's the UN arm that deals with intellectual property globally. So we've been working with all these stakeholders to realize some geographical indication products for Grenada. And we are focusing on nutmeg, our cocoa, and rum. So in that vein, we are, in fact, this week coming on between Monday and Tuesday, we meaning the Ministry of Legal Affairs and the Office of Corporate and Intellectual Property, will be hosting an international workshop here in Grenada between Monday and Tuesday. And that workshop is sponsored jointly by the government of Grenada and the World Intellectual Property Organization. Quite of the work has been done, but the World Intellectual Property Organization personnel and we at the Ministry of Legal Affairs thought it would be good to have this workshop here in Grenada to help our stakeholders, the producers, our nutmeg, cocoa, and rum products, to advance the process of getting these uniquely Grenadian products recognized as geographical indications. So we would be looking at things like the legal framework for the protection of geographical indications. We would be looking at how we can strengthen business competitiveness through geographical indications, so that when you have a geographical indication, your product, the labeling and the marketing and everything is enhanced. So that means you will have an uptick in demand for the product, especially if it's recognized as unique from one specific geographical location and superior in quality. So this is what we are going to be working on. We will look at the socio-economic impact of the protection of geographical indications and their role as a tool for rural development. Because as you know, the two of the products will directly linked with our agricultural sector.
Right.
And so how do we use geographical indication as a tool for rural development so that our cocoa and nutmeg farmers can have their products and marketed, packaged better, one, presented better, and marketed and sold in more locations around the world. Um, so that how do we protect our geographical indication internationally so that there wouldn't be other knockoff products passing off
Mm-hmm.
as nutmeg from Grenada or cocoa from Grenada or rum, that kind of thing. So we have some experts from the region and beyond, some from as far as Geneva, in WIPO, to help us with some of these topics, and they would in turn help the GCNA and the Cocoa Association and so with advancing the work towards getting our origin linked products protected by geographical indication registration.
Now, could geographical indications extend onto culture, music, or just hardcore products?
It's usually products.
Mm-hmm.
Usually products. I am not aware of a instance where it is done for culture. So although I'm trying to think whether Jamaica has something in relation to reggae music and Bob Marley, but as far as I know, geographical indications tend to cover actual goods. There are other, you see, because when you have culture, music, literary works,
Mm-hmm.
and artistic works, the intellectual property is actually created when the product itself is created.
Right.
So you don't have to go through a process of registration. The fact of creation of the work
Mm-hmm.
gives you the intellectual property rights in the form of copyrights
Okay, because
for the
I
work.
am
Because
thinking,
whereas you would register a trademark or a
yeah.
patent or a collective mark or so, you don't register a copyright. The fact that you are the creator and owner of the work gives you the intellectual property right in it that you can enforce
Mhm.
against each other, against others rather.
Right. So let us
Mhm.
suppose uh, a Jab Jab organization decides
Mhm.
to create a piece of wearing apparel to depict Grenada Jab Jab. That can be therefore introduced as a geographical indicator and for it to be registered because
Right.
then it becomes a product.
Yeah, and apparel is different. So music is one thing, written and spoken word is another, right? Those are protected by copyrights.
Mm-hmm.
But if you for example the jab jab helmet with the horns,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
that's unique to Grenada.
Right.
Um, whether there would be enough enough demand for it to attract protection by way of a geographical indication is another matter. I'm not sure that it will um, reach that standard, but we can we can protect our unique jab jab apparel, the short knee, the veco,
Mm-hmm.
even the words jab jab veco short knee,
Mm-hmm.
while Indian. They can be protected. If I'm not mistaken, I believe the Spice Mass Corporation might already have protected those words and images
Mm-hmm.
by registering them as trademarks. I believe they are already registered as trademarks.
Uh-huh. Because I'm
Yeah, I believe
thinking,
they. Yeah, from my recollection, I believe they are already registered as trademarks by the Spice Mass Corporation.
Because I'm thinking that this is something, let's say, our creative industry can probably start propelling. In other words, the development of jab jab outfits and all the various outfits of mass in Grenada, and sell
Right.
these outfits to tourists, visitors, etc. They wish to participate in a band. They don't necessarily have to put on the tar, just put on the outfit with the helmet and everything, and
All right.
you are jab jab overnight.
Yeah.
So
So uh, the issue of geographical indications, it's a process. It's a very involved process,
mhm.
and while our nutmeg is already world renowned, the quality of our cocoa is already world renowned by the most prolific chocolate manufacturers in the world, like the Swiss and the Belgians, and so. Um, the reach of the apparel. I don't know that apparel for job, and so the image might be one thing, but the actual physical apparel, I don't know if it is widespread enough internationally to at this stage attract a geographical indication protection. Yeah.
Uh-huh. All right. Well, time seems to be quickly catching up with us. Is there anything else that you wish to share with us at this time?
No, I would just like to say, well, thanks for having me on the show, and I am always ready and willing to come on to share what's happening in the town of St. George and in the ministries that I lead, labor, legal affairs, and consumer affairs, and of course also the office of the Attorney General. We continue to work in the interest of the people of Grenada. The office of the Attorney General, we are happy to facilitate all of the matters, measures, and progressive actions of the government. Basically, almost everything we do, there's a role or function for the office of the Attorney General to perform to ensure that we work within the ambit of the laws and the Constitution of Grenada, and that the government stays on the right track with its decisions and plans and programs. So I would assure our Grenadian people, you have a very strong, united, committed team of people working on your behalf um, as government, and we look forward to the continued cooperation, support, diligence of our stakeholders, including, the public workers, their representative unions, the private sector, the employers, and the general public. We look forward to your continued cooperation, support, and of course, your prayers as we work for the enhancement and improvement of all our respective lives. Um, we expect criticism. There is an opposition party in the country, and an opposition party that is desperate to return to office. And so, um, and we are sure they will be open to doing so almost by any means necessary. So we expect the misinformation to be skewing. We expect the conflating of issues. But we have trust and confidence in the collective discernment and wisdom of the people of Grenada. And we know that the people of Grenada know that we are working in their interest. So we will continue to work for the people. And I urge everyone to continue to enjoy our 50th year of independence. Remember, it's a year long celebration, and look out for activities coming in your communities.
Yep. Well, thank you so very much. But before you take off, just one final question. Over the past just over a year and a half, what would you say has been the most challenging issue for you labor wise?
Labor wise, the most challenging issue.
Has there been
Well,
any major disputes with employees that you have resolved?
we had the issue with Republic Bank.
I,
Um,
uh-huh.
yes, that became quite a national issue, and ultimately the parties settled down, and the matter was resolved generally along the lines that I had suggested months before the dispute was really resolved. And so I think it could have been resolved earlier had the um, the bank acceded to the recommendations that I made earlier. But that was resolved, and everything is now well. But I think generally the stakeholders in the labor movement, the employers, the unions, the employees, I think generally they approach the issues from a genuine place and in a genuine spirit of compromise and negotiation, which really helps us at the Ministry of Labor in helping parties to come closer together when they have disputes and to resolve those disputes. So what we've had, for the most part, we've had good cooperation and a really good working relationship um, from all corners. We have the Labor Advisory Board that is doing its work very shortly. Um, its recommendations for amendment to the labor code will be presented to the cabinet for approval, and then subsequently the labor code itself will be amended. I think in large measure the areas are already agreed, meaning the government, the employers, and the unions are generally in agreement on the areas that need to be addressed. So I think it's been a good experience, by and large, working with all the stakeholders in labor. And I would like to take this opportunity to thank them for the cooperation to date.
Great. Fantastic. Well, thank you so very much indeed, Senator Joseph. It was a pleasure having you on the Heartbeat today. And
Yeah,
feel free next time, come around, visit us, and let's chit chat. Although
sure,
today,
anytime.
although today we were away from studio, but it still works, even if it's
It
online.
works. Yeah, it was nicer sitting next to you and chatting.
Yes, of course, all the time, all the time.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Terry, on the Heartbeat, and have a pleasant rest of the day to all of the listeners and viewers of the program.
Thank you very much indeed. And here's saying goodbye to all our listeners and viewers of the NDC Heartbeat podcast. Hope you're having a great Sunday afternoon, and see you again next week. And our thanks to Senator the Honorable Claudette Joseph, Minister responsible for legal affairs, labor, consumer affairs, and she's also the Attorney General. Thank you very much, and see you again next Sunday when we will have another interesting conversation. Thank you very much, and goodbye.
Imagine an island paradise where nutmeg perfumes the air, a land where volcanic origins have sculpted a dramatic landscape of towering mountains and sun-drenched beaches. Welcome to Grenada, the spice island of the Caribbean. This tropical gem is brimming with fascinating facts, some of which may surprise you. So buckle up for a journey of discovery as we count down the top 10 amazing facts about Grenada. Starting off at number 10. Grenada isn't just a single island. It's actually an archipelago consisting of one main island, also named Grenada, and 6 smaller islands. This Caribbean nation offers a variety of landscapes to explore, from bustling towns to secluded beaches and lush rainforests. Number 9. Grenada is the world's second-largest producer of nutmeg, contributing to 20% of the global supply. The island's fertile soil and tropical climate make it perfect for growing this aromatic spice. So it's no wonder Grenada is often referred to as the Spice Isle. Moving on to number 8. Grenada has a volcano, but don't worry, it's not active. The island's highest point, Mount St. Catherine, is a potentially active volcano, standing tall at 2,744 feet. Number 7. Grenada has a unique underwater sculpture park, the first of its kind in the world. Created by British artist Jason de Caires Taylor, these life-size sculptures are both a tourist attraction and a boon for marine life. Number 6. Grenada has more spices per square mile than any other place on Earth. Apart from nutmeg, the island also produces cloves, ginger, cinnamon, and mace, among others. Coming in at number 5. Grenada was discovered by Christopher Columbus in 1498, but the famous explorer never set foot on the island. In fact, it was left uncolonized for more than 100 years due to its fierce indigenous population. Number 4. Grenada has a rich history of resistance. The island's first inhabitants, the Caribs, leapt from a cliff to their deaths rather than surrender to the French, giving the spot the name Leapers Hill. At number 3, Grenada is the smallest country ever to host the United Nations General Assembly. In 1979, the assembly was held in the capital city, St. George d'As. Number 2, Grenada has a crater lake called Grand Etang. This stunning body of water is located within a national park and is believed to be bottomless by locals. And finally, the most amazing fact at number 1, Grenada gained independence from Britain in 1974, making it one of the youngest countries in the world. To recap, Grenada is an archipelago and the world's second largest producer of nutmeg. It has an inactive volcano, an underwater sculpture park, and the highest concentration of spices per square mile, discovered by Columbus but left uncolonized due to fierce resistance. It has a history marked by courageous defiance. It's the smallest country to host the UN General Assembly, boasts a potentially bottomless lake, and is one of the world's youngest countries. So, the next time you think of Grenada, remember it's not just a tropical paradise, but a place rich in history, culture, and spice.